The golden sun dipped behind the jagged peaks of the Wyoming wilderness, casting long shadows over the two men who defined an era of rebellion. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid were more than just outlaws. They were the living symbols of a closing frontier. As leaders of the wild bunch, they had turned train robbery into a precise art form. But the world was changing fast. The open range was being fenced in, and the law was no longer just a local sheriff with a tin star. The Pinkerton National Detective Agency was on their trail, a relentless machine of private eyes and iron-willed investigators who didn't know the meaning of the word quit. Butch, the charismatic visionary, knew their luck was wearing thin. He wasn't a man of senseless violence. He was a strategist who preferred a clever plan over a bloody shootout. Beside him, the Sundance Kid stood as the ultimate equalizer, a man whose speed with a six-shooter was whispered about in every saloon from Cheyenne to Fort Worth. Their bond was forged in the heat of narrow escapes and the shared silence of long nights under the stars. They represented a breed of men who value freedom above all else, even as the noose of civilization began to tighten around their necks. The pressure from the Pinkertons was suffocating. These weren't just lawmen. They were shadows that followed them through every canyon and across every river. The agency used the very technology that Butch and Sundance had once exploited, the telegraph and the railroad, to track their every move. Realizing that the American West was becoming too small for their legends, the duo made a desperate, heart-wrenching decision. They would leave the land they loved, the dusty plains and the rugged mountains, to seek a new life in the distant mountains of South America. Their journey was a bittersweet odyssey of survival and friendship. It was a story of two men who refused to be broken by a world that no longer had room for them. As they looked back at the fading silhouette of the American coastline, they carried with them the spirit of the Wild West, a spirit of unyielding adventure and the unbreakable bond of brotherhood. Their names would eventually fade into history, but the legend of their final ride against the relentless tide of time remains etched in the soul of the frontier forever.